Hello, happy people, and welcome to your Moment of Zed, the YouTube channel dedicated to the most beautiful car in the world, the BMW Z3, or as the folks in Greytown call it, the Z3. I'm Mark, and today we're going to do something that I've put off for a long time, which is restoring my headlights. Now, my headlights from a previous owner were covered with a tinted clear coat. That's peeling off, and underneath it's kind of oxidized. Not that bad, but it needs work. And there's a bunch of different ways we can do this. You could ask 100 different people and get 100 different opinions, everything from toothpaste to a full-on restoration, which is what I'm going to do today. And I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole, done the research for you, put a bunch of links in the description if you want to take a look at what other people have done. It's kind of always boils down to the same thing. We've got to rough sand for me, the clear coat, the old clear coat and the oxidation off, and then polish it back up. That's kind of the full bore way to do it. There's shortcuts, there's kits. Again, links to all that in the description. I'm just going to kind of go through the way I decided to do it, which is the full bore restoration. But before we get to that, we have 3 Zeds of the week.
And first up, we have Tim from Costa Mesa, California, with his 1997 2.8-liter 5-speed Roadster with 132,000 miles. Now, Tim bought it about 3 weeks ago. He is the 9th owner. Came with a new cooling system and a new fan clutch already installed, and he picked it up for about $5K, which to me, Tim, is a steal. That's a beautiful car, and for $5K, especially in California, nice work. He has since removed the crash plate to lighten up the glove box door. He's put in clear side markers, restored the headlights, a quick restore. He's thinking about putting in halos later, and he bought a new CD player he's going to install. Beautiful car, Tim. Congratulations. Welcome to the community. And next up, we have Todd and his wife Deb from Illinois with their new to them 2000 2.8-liter 5-speed Roadster with 155,000 miles. Must be our day for Atlanta Blue. Another pretty car. Kind of a long story as to how he got this car. He has a Harley. Well, he had one, was thinking about selling it. Some friends who had had surgery and couldn't drive a manual loaned them a Z3. And Todd and Deb fell in love with the Z3 and decided to go out and get one. They found this one, and since they bought it, they have changed out the differential oil, have new struts, they have a new valve cover gasket, new fog light, they've done a headlight restoration, put in new floor mats. Future plans include a new water pump, thermostat, and the accoutrements for that, as well as a little bit of body work, and their plan is to take it on a tour of Route 66. Very cool.
Thank you so much, folks, for sharing your beautiful cars. If you'd like to see your car on Zed of the Week, please follow the easy instructions in the description below. Now let's get to those really rough headlights.
Okay, so folks may look at this and say, geez, Mark, you're bat poop crazy. That's way overboard on protection. But I've got the entire engine bay covered in plastic bags, and then I've taped up around the headlights. I've covered the area behind the grill as well. We're going to be making a lot of dust. We're going to be flinging around some water, some compound, and we're going to be clear coating. And you know what? I just want to protect everything right off the bat, have an easy cleanup. Now on the tape, they also make a stronger green tape that a lot of people use. I just don't have any. I've tripled up these first 2 layers closest to the headlight and doubled up this one. So if I accidentally sand that, there's some protection for the paint. Again, it'd help easier if I had a wider tape, but I think I'm good to go. You may want to go with less, but that's up to you. So here's what we're going to be using today. We're going to use the 3M headlight restoration kit. Now, this was about $18 on Amazon, link in the description. This comes with 500 grit paper, 800 grit paper, a 3000, this is called the Trizac, a polishing sponge, and of course the connection to put this on the drill, which is padded, and that's important. The drill itself that we're going to use, just a regular variable speed drill. Mine goes up to about 1500 RPM. We're going to use about 2/3 of that maybe. We've got glass cleaner, and we've got the connection for my air compressor that sprays air just to kind of clean things up between steps. We've got a bottle of water, just plain old tap water, and some microfiber cloths, Meguiar's Plast-X, which is what we're going to use to do a final polish on the lights. Now, the 3M kit does come with polishing compound. You could use that as well. Either way, doesn't matter. I'm going to go with the Plast-X. Has a really good reputation. And I will tell you what, since my headlights were originally like this, covered with a previous owner's clear coat, I bought a different kit originally on Amazon. It was a $19 or $20 kit, and this is about a tenth of it. It came with 187 pieces. It was a 2-inch setup. This is what goes in your drill, and then it came with package after package of these. I thought maybe this would get me all the way from the original mess I had to a beautiful polish, but it could only get me to about here. That's the best I could do with this kit. So I went ahead and ordered the 3M. I'll put a link to this in the description. I wouldn't recommend it if your headlights are simply hazy because of UV damage. This should be the kit you go with, and I think this kit's going to give me much better results. Almost forgot, personal protective gear, a good face mask. This is a 3M P95 for dust, and eye protection. You are working with rotating tools. While I'm busy forgetting things, the last thing, the final step's going to be coating it with the Meguiar's Headlight coating. This has a really good reputation, and I'm not going to permanently clear coat it again because I don't want to deal with the clear coat as it breaks down in a few years. Now, there's a video that Chris Fix put out, and I won't argue too much with Chris Fix because he has 10 million subs and he's been doing this for a decade. But he suggests clear coating, you know, a regular automotive paint clear coat again on the headlights. After having to take my coating off, I will never do that again. So I'm going to use this. It's supposed to be good for about a year or so, and it is recommended by a lot of different people. Okay, so this light has had 1 or 2 treatments with the Cheapy set I had. I did get all of the clear coat off, but I'm left with a haze. I'm left with light scratches. This is probably what your headlight, just with normal UV oxidation, kind of looks like. So I think this is a good way to start with the better, hopefully, 3M kit. I've got the padded connection on the drill. I'm starting out with the gold disc, which is the P500. I would not suggest that you sand with anything with a heavier grit than the P500. That's probably as low as you should go. Of course, sandpaper grit gets rougher with lower numbers. Trying to center this as best I can so it doesn't get all weird. And I'm going to use about 2/3 of, not like that, 1,000 RPM I'm estimating. And I'm going to do a motion starting in this corner. Be careful with the edges. Again, the tape is tripled up here. Be careful with the edges. I'm going to work a motion where I go this way and then come up a little bit and overlap and go this way. And I'm just going to keep working it around like that, making sure I get everywhere. Now, this step is meant to remove all the garbage on your light, and it's going to leave fine scratches. And then after that, we're going to start taking those out with the higher grits. I'm also going to do the edge up here. Cordless drill is a little better for this, but I'm going to do the edge up here like this, being careful, and that's what we're going to do. So let's get started. Light pressure, let the disc do the work. And you can see that dust, and that's okay. That's what we want to see. We want to see that dust.
nice and slow. We want to see those good even swirl marks. And we'll just keep going from here. Okay, after step one with the P500, here's what we've got. Just going to blow that off real quick. And as you can see, we've got swirl marks, and that's okay because the 800 is supposed to take those out. So we're going to go ahead and do the 800. Now, if you had heavy oxidation, you might need to use 2 or 3, maybe even P500s, and that's okay. The kit comes with 6. You certainly shouldn't need any more than 3, but you might need 2 if you have heavy oxidation. I didn't because I had that darn clear coat in front. So now we're going to start polishing this up in steps, and the next step is the P800. Again, the idea is get the bad stuff off with the P500 and then start polishing up the marks left by the P500 with the P800, and then the next step after that. So we'll just put this on. Again, same motion. I'm going to start in the corner. I'm going to work my way slowly over, light pressure, let the pad do the work. And then I'm just going to come back and forth, overlapping, and get these swirl marks out. So here we go. Okay, here's where we're at after the 800 is done. Now the next step is to, because there's still some light swirl marks in here, and it's easier to polish up if you have kind of have those taken out. So I'm going to take this a fresh 800, and I'm going to go ahead and and 3M makes a handheld thing that's better, but I'm just going to use this. This is padded, it'll work, and we're just going to gently go side to side across the light to just lessen those swirl marks in preparation for wet sanding and final polishing. So we're just going to go back and forth like this. Again, gentle pressure, and get those swirl marks as out as we can get them. And then we'll move on. Okay, so at this point we're going to give it a quick actual wash to get ready for wet sanding. Just with the tap water. And again, not looking great, but I think once we get to the wet sanding and the polishing, we're going to see some huge improvements. Now, I have some deeper scratches in here, and some of this is because I had to get aggressive to get the old clear coat off. I had to go with 150 and 200 or 240 grit from that other kit. So I put in some scratches. Unfortunately, it's hard to do it perfect, that are going to take a lot more work to come out. But after 26 years, I'm not going to worry about those. I think the lights are going to look a ton better. So let's go ahead and wet sand. So for the wet sand, we're going to use the P3000, or the 3000, the Trizac disc, as I think it's called. Just going to put that on there, and we're going to spray a little water on that, and a little bit of water on the lights, and we're going to go ahead and wet sand using that same motion I showed you earlier. In a nice regular pattern, nice and smooth, light pressure. Okay, here we are off after the wet sand, and again, other than the kind of deep scratches that I put in prior to using the 3M kit, this light's looking pretty good. Now, of course, it's still hazy, and that's okay because that's just the way it's going to be for now. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some glass cleaner and give it a really good clean before we polish it.
And I'll tell you what, that looked really good until it dries, of course, which is fine. The next thing to do is the polishing. Now, before I move on, I should have said this earlier, I did not invent this technique. As far as I know, this technique was invented by a guy with a channel called the Headlight Restoration Pro, link in the description. I would also say that Coolcat Terri, who has her own Z3 channel with some great stuff, she did this a few weeks ago, and she kind of followed his techniques and credited him as well. He does it for a living, and I don't, so I'm following his techniques. I think it's pretty similar to the 3M kit instructions. I actually didn't read them, to tell you the truth, but he uses a 3M gear just like I'm using it now. Again, link in the description to his channel and to Coolcat Terri's video about how to do this, and let's use some polishing compound. So here is the polishing bonnet there, and just gonna go ahead and take our Plast-X. I'm sure you can hear in the background, of course, we've got our landscaping folks, as we always do in Florida. And we're just going to take this and put a few spots on and then dab it to get it kind of evenly on the light. We're going to dab it across the surface of the light. Okay, so we're all dabbed, and difference in this step is we're going to use this full RPM. Polishing's better at a higher RPM. Matter of fact, they make special polishing tools that go up to about 7,000 or 8,000 RPM, and you should use those if you have one. I'll put a link in the description to one. I don't have one, so I'm just going to use this at full bore 1500. I'm going to use that same, well, I'm going to kind of be a little more random with this, back and forth, up and down. It doesn't really matter. We're not leaving swirl marks or anything in, so we don't have to be quite as careful. Okay, so I finished with the polishing compound, and I hit it with the glass cleaner again. And I'll tell you what, I'm very impressed with the results. The only issues are ones that I did to myself yesterday when I had to get aggressive with the to get the clear coat off. Again, you shouldn't have that problem if you're just taking off oxidation. Hey, did you know there's a bunch of letters and numbers on our headlights? I had no idea. Anyways, I'm super happy with the way this turned out. I'm going to go ahead and do the other one before I clear coat. I'm not going to show you that, of course. I'm going to try 3M's polishing compound and see if I get similar or better results than I did with the Plast-X. But I'm real happy with the way this turned out. It's 1,000% improvement. Okay, so we're on our last step. Before I get to it, I'd just like to say that I wasn't super... The polishing compound, the same, came with the kit, was fine. I think the Plast-X gave me better results, so I just went over again with the Plast-X. Last step is to take our headlight coating and hit it with a coat. Now what it says to do is give it 2 medium coats with about 5 minutes in between. But my intelligence says that you should give it 1 heavy coat and then leave it. That will avoid orange peeling. No one wants the orange peel or orange skin finish. So we're going to give that a heavy coat, and it says dries to the touch in 5 minutes and cures completely in 24 hours. So I'm not going to take the car anywhere for a day. And I'm just going to spray this on like any other spray paint, back and forth, overlap, light strokes. As you can see why I have the car completely covered. Now I don't really have to worry about getting this clear coat on anything. And that should do it. We'll do the other one. You know, I always wish stuff looked as good dry as it did wet. But considering what my headlights looked like before, I think that is a huge improvement. So there it is with the clear coat, dried for about 10-15 minutes now, I guess. kind of windy today. I had the garage closed. Now it's open. Hopefully nothing's going to blow on and stick to it. A huge difference from this, again, to this. Is it perfect? No. Is it pretty darn close? And that clear coat covers up a little bit some of my deeper scratches I accidentally put in. Yeah, I'm super happy with the 3M system, and I'm super happy with the Meguiar's clear coat. Definitely worth the effort.
So, folks, there you have it. Not difficult, but tedious. Not time-consuming, but it took some time. But I think the results were definitely worth it. If you found this content valuable, as always, please crush that like button. And until next time, remember, friends don't let friends drive boring.